From a different angle, today we have the founder of Lorbo Film, a teacher, and the producer of the show Blessed, Sinéad Dolan.
Hello.
Now, the first thing I want to know is about my name. Because my producer get in contact with Wikipedia to say they spell my name wrong.
So how do they spell your name? First of all, how do you spell your name?
Simple. N-D-O.
N-D-O.
Yep.
And how do Wikipedia spell your name?
N'_D-O. She tried to tell them that it's not the way they spell my name. And they told her that we don't want to see you again.
Yeah, they threatened to bar me from the... Because I kept changing it. I was like, right, I'm going to change this. I'm sick of seeing it on Wikipedia and it's spelt wrong. And everyone always, half the time you see your name spelt N'_D-O. So I went on to Wikipedia and I changed it. And then a second later it was changed back. And then I was like, oh, I'm doing something wrong. So I changed it again. And then it was changed back. And then I was like, this is crazy. I keep changing it, but it's not saving and I'm doing something wrong. And then suddenly I get this notification that they're calling me a troll because I changed it so many times. And when then I went back in to look at it and like I could see all the times that I had changed it because it keeps showing you who's changed it and then who's changed it back. And then they said I was going to be banned as a troll because I kept changing. So then I got into some keyboard discussion with somebody who I don't know who they are about the spelling of your name. And they kept saying, no, his name is spelled N'_D-O. And I said, no, I work with him. And if you look at the video that I made with him, he spelled it N-D-O. And then they told me, well, the producer of that show was wrong. And then I said, but I'm sitting with him. And then they said, oh, you're going to get banned. You're not allowed to update your own page. I was like, oh, what do I do? So then they were saying, I said, but even in the Wikipedia article, sometimes it's spelled N'_D-O and sometimes it's spelled N-D-O. And then they said, oh yeah, you're right. But sorry, we have to have it coming from a validated source. So I just gave up.
So who's validated source?
I don't know.
Anyway, your encounter with the World Cup were in 1994 in United States of America.
Yeah.
How was it? Tell me a little bit that experience for you the first time.
So if I was to describe it, I could say 100 degrees heat, sombreros, and the back of a bread van and some Japanese businessmen.
Where was your first game? Let's say in the stadium.
It was in Giant Stadium and it was Mexico versus Bulgaria. I think it was in the round of 16 and I went to it and it was very hot. It was a very hot day. It was...
The journey, how far was it from where you were living?
Oh, I can't really remember, but we were in the East Village and I don't know. I don't know in miles, but it was depending on the traffic. It was probably like maybe 45 minutes or something. And there was a group of us were going, and a group of Mexican guys and one Colombian woman and myself. And we all worked together. And our transport was a bread van, a truck that used to deliver bread. So we were all sitting in the back of the truck in this 100 degrees is what, like 37, 38 degrees centigrade. And if anyone has been to New York or knows New York, the humidity you just can't move. You're just like, it's like walking around in thick soup. It's not like a dry heat. It's just really wet, or not wet, but it's just really, really humid.
Yes.
So it was like really stifling, and you could open the sides of the bread van a little bit, but not when you're not when you're in like the Holland Tunnel, or not when you're on the highways or anything like that. Anyway, so we got to Giant Stadium. We didn't have tickets. One of the guys was like, don't worry, like we have it sorted. And so then when we got there, now most of these guys they had pretty poor English. But anyway, we got there, and as soon as we arrived, some guy came up to us, like some, ticket seller, like, are you looking for tickets? We got tickets. And we had parked, and because we got stuck in the traffic, so we were kind of just about on time. Anyway, we got there, and there was a great atmosphere, and everyone was like run up. And the thing was, in New York, you would have no clue that the World Cup was on. I had the first round, the group stages.
Yes.
I was actually in Dublin for. My nephew had just been born, so we came home to see him, and the atmosphere was incredible. And we were just, banks and institutions were closing down when the match was on, and everyone had flags everywhere, and everyone was watching. The whole country was watching it. And the atmosphere was brilliant because Ireland had got through to the round of 16. And so then I came back so excited, and I, came back to New York, and there was nothing, absolutely nothing. And no one was paying any attention to it at all. So it was just great, then to arrive at Giant Stadium, and there was an atmosphere. So that was brilliant. So we were just so excited. We got there, we were out of that van, we were sweating buckets, like big, thick, wet patches under our arms, like everywhere. It was just disgusting, but we were happy. But anyway, so we get there, and we meet these guys, and they're like, have you got tickets? And we were like, oh, what have you got? And one of the guys, the main guy, said he was doing all the negotiations, said he had the most English, but he said he would sort it out. So he came back to us, and he said, okay, it's £100 each, and $100. So we were like, fine. We were
$100 each.
Yes, we had been prepared to pay. I think we had maybe brought 150.
Oh
each.
yeah, but because it was
the round of 16.
The round of 16, yeah, okay.
But no, the thing was, these are great. These were tickets in an air-conditioned box.
Yeah.
So that's why they were more expensive. So we were like, okay, yeah, we were so hot and sweaty, and we were like, definitely. And so we were there they had brought sombreros. We had huge, big sombreros, and we had Mexican flags, draped around our shoulders and everything. And anyway, we get up there, we get in. We're kind of a little bit nervous about, getting in with our tickets. And then we got in, we were like, yes. And then we were running into the stadium. We were like, oh, this is amazing. And then Mexico, because we were a couple of minutes late, and next thing, the crowd is starting to make loads of noise, and we ran up to just the backs of the seats, like we were looking in the main stadium, and we saw them score the first goal, and it was all fabulous, and we were all having a great time. We were all so happy, and it was all Mexico, ra ra ra, and we were running around, So we finally get to our section.
Lovely seat.
Yeah, we get to our section, and we walked in, and we were just like, oh, the cool air, and it was brilliant. And so picture there was maybe eight really disgusting, smelly, sweaty, in t-shirts and shorts with big sombreros and Mexican flag cloaks. And we go in, and we sit down at our seats, and we're so excited and happy, and we don't really kind of notice until we sit down. Then we kind of start looking around, and looking, and everyone in the box is Asian, first of all, and wearing suits. And we're just like, there's probably only about 30 people and us. So we really were standing out. And we kind of sat there, looked around, and we were just like, okay, just, play it cool. And next thing we get the tap, tap, tap on the shoulder. Excuse me, can we see your tickets? And we're like, oh, we have tickets. And they look at our tickets and they're like, yes, you have tickets. But where did you get the tickets? And the main guy who was doing all the talking, he's like, oh, they said, no, sorry, you all have to come out. And so everyone suddenly I don't speak English. And I was pretty tanned and like, you know, I have dark hair and dark eyes, whatever. So sometimes people used to mistake me for being Spanish anyway. And like, you know, I wouldn't have looked that dissimilar from the Colombian woman. So we were just all, no. And we were brought out of the box and then we were brought outside and immediately kicked out of the stadium. And we were outside and they just kept saying, where did you get the tickets? And the guy just said, I got them from a guy in Queens. I went to a bar. Someone told me that there was a guy selling tickets, that they were legitimate tickets, and I got them in a bar in Queens. And they said, okay, well, there was a bunch of tickets that were bought by some Japanese corporation.
Yes.
And they were posted to Japan and they went missing because at the time, like, you didn't book online or anything like that, you know, like, so these tickets are posted to Japan and there was a batch, maybe 8 of them went missing out of 40. And these were the tickets that we had. And so we were all just kind of there looking at, we were so sad, like, you know, it had been, took so long to get there in their bread van and the heat, and you know, it was, and we'd spent all our money and we were just like, oh, what are we going to do? And we were all looking so sad. And the guy just said, right, you all have to come over this way. So we were all like terrified then, like we didn't know what was going to happen. And so we just all followed, we were all so dejected and followed this guy all the way out of the stadium. And he just marched us out and marched us up to this kind of caravan thing that was a mobile ticket booth. And he just said, here, buy your tickets here. And we all just looked at him and he said, go on ahead, buy your tickets and enjoy the match. And we were all looking, we were like, what? And and the guy said, how many? You know, we said 8. And the tickets were €30 each. And we could have just gone in the first place and got them. And so then we got back in and then we was almost like this deja vu. We were running up, because you have to run through loads of stories and concrete kind of tunnels to get up there.
130.
Yeah.
to watch a game.
Yeah. And the thing was, we sat there and it was the best atmosphere ever. You know, like we were sitting in the sun but we were in with all the crowd and it was just brilliant atmosphere. It was just brilliant. When we hear a better World Cup story from someone who played the World Cup, you can tell us all about Saipan.
I'd never heard of it.
That'll be another story.